to your point, when this started, it used to be billboards, newspapers. I don't know if any of your audience remembers or knows what a newspaper is. Newspapers, billboards, TV, conventional TV, radio, etc.
Hey there, and welcome to a brand new episode of Delivering Marketing Joy. I am your host, Kirby Hassman, and joining me today is a brand new rock star. He's new to me anyway. He's the president of Commit Agency and the creator of Challenger Brand Marketing. We're going to dive into that today. John Gumas, thanks so much for joining me today.
Hey, Kirby, it's so nice to be with you.
Absolutely. We've had a nice conversation even before we hit record, so it's great. So I want to talk about this Challenger Brand Marketing. You actually trademarked the term. So can you talk a little bit about what is Challenger Brand and how does a smaller business know if that's sort of what they are?
Yeah, first of all, it's not necessarily a smaller business, right?
Okay.
It's any company, any organization that is up against any competitors that are better resourced. And better resource can fall into many categories. The most obvious is bigger, marketing budget. It can be more retail locations. It can be better brand awareness. It can be bigger sales force. It can be anything where you're up against others, either other or others, usually others that can out resource you. So the reality is you can't go head to head. And that's what most organizations do. They go head to head. They do what their competitors are doing. And they think just because they're blue versus their competitors being red, that's going to make all the difference. Well, as you know, nothing can be further from the truth. And so over almost 40 years ago, we created this methodology, and that's what it is. It's a marketing methodology called Challenger Brand Marketing, designed to help these types of organizations, we refer to them as challenger brands, effectively compete against these better resourced competition, and that's it. It is a methodology, so it's a different way of thinking, but it's all based on research and fact, allowing these organizations to generate greater returns for the marketing dollars that they are spending.
Now, before we started hit record, you had said, hey, this methodology has been around for a while because you created it almost 40 years ago. I'm curious, and I know I'm going off a little bit, but obviously 40 years ago, marketing looked different, right? How has that changed over that period of time? If there's one or two ways.
Sure. No, that's a great question. And I'm going to answer that in two parts. Right. So really, if you think in its most basic form, right, marketing services, marketing activity, advertising is two parts. One is the delivery, right, of the messaging, how you get the message out. To your point, when this started, it used to be billboards, newspapers. I don't know if any of your audience remembers or knows what a newspaper is. Newspapers, billboards, TV, conventional TV, radio, etc. Fast forward to today, obviously that has changed significantly with the digital era and where it's, for us and our clients, it's less and less conventional and more digital, as I'm sure it is for you as well. And AI now is starting to jump into that, and that's accelerating that change more so from the analysis, being able to crunch numbers significantly faster than before. So that part, the delivery has changed. But what really hasn't changed as much is the development of the message. That whole messaging, the brand, the positioning, that part has changed surprisingly not that much. And that's because at the end of the day, right, what an organization has to do is truly find out and discover their unique position and their point of reference and differentiation. And they can't do that based on assumption. And that's the typical thing that we've seen over the 40 years is an organization says, I know exactly what my customers need to hear me say. I know exactly why they pick me. I know everything about them.
Yeah.
Kirby, 40 years now, right? 100% of the time, what our clients say they know about their customers, when we go through the Challenger brand process, it's the opposite. It's not. And because, what I've realized is there's this interesting phenomena that happens with marketing directors, business owners, presidents of organizations. They live and breathe their organization every day. It's impossible, I believe, literally impossible for them to step back and look at their organization from the outside in like a prospective new customer would in
Right.
comparison to their options, the competition. It's impossible. So hence what happens, they move forward based on this assumption that they know what they need to say. They know how their brand needs to be positioned. They know what differentiates them from everyone else. And that assumption is usually what keeps challenger brands from accelerating at the pace they want or accelerating at all. And that, and how we get there is kind of the fun part. And then from there, we kind of build out the marketing campaigns, but it's based on that data.
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, when we're talking about marketing, but I think it's true in almost any area of your life. If you want to grow, the worst thing you can say is, "Yeah, I know," right? Like, there's no way if you can learn that you can learn if you're like, "Yeah, I already know that already."
Exactly.
Um, so you talk about finding the niche no competitor can own. So how does a business actually identify that position, and what does it look like when a brand gets this right?
Sure. So what we do, we have there's 5 steps to the challenger brand process. The first step is what we refer to as discovery or research. And we have kind of a non-normal, if you will, approach to finding out the real reason why someone uses a company. So we really look at 3 points of data. First point, we want to talk to their customers, but don't want to talk to all their customers. We talk to their best customers, and we ask them a very, very unique set of questions that's really been formulated over the years to pull out the real reason. Because most people can't tell you the real reason why. They'll give you the easiest answer. And in most research, you get the easy answer. And unfortunately, that's kind of the worst thing that can happen to a challenger brand. So we've created this unique form of questioning designed to pull out the real reason why they love doing business with this company. So that's the first part, is talking to their best customers using this unique questioning. And it's on the telephone, by the way. The second part of the discovery is talking to the internal stakeholders, everyone from the CEO, the owner, anybody influential in the company, because we want to understand the truth about their brand. And interesting, it happens just right there. What they think is not what their customers think. What they say is not what their customers say. That alone is just, worth price of admission.
Yeah.
And then the third part, the main part that we look at is we do a very deep dive on their main competitors, because we're looking for weaknesses from their competitors. So what that we can exploit. And those weaknesses from their competitors are the opportunities for challenger brands. So instead of going head to head, it's the David and Goliath. They're going after the weak points. So those 3 basic main points of data gathering is the discovery portion. And in the middle is their position. The middle is their messaging. Because once you get the message right, okay, that's when everything starts to work. So the second part is taking that data and creating the strategic plan, the messaging all the way through to what they say, how they differentiate it, to the point where they can trademark that messaging, and then what their plan looks like. Where's their audience going to find them? So those are the first 2 steps, and probably the most critical steps. And then from there, we develop the marketing plans based on fact, based on data, not based on guessing or assumption.
Yeah, it can be overwhelming, I think, when you are, whether you necessarily identify yourself as a challenger brand today, but if you're just like, look, I'm in a big industry and I'm struggling to stand out, that is a challenge I think many entrepreneurs, marketers face. So for like a small business owner who does feel that way, they feel like they're getting drowned out by bigger competitors, bigger budgets, just a big industry where it's hard to be found. What's a first move that somebody like that should take?
Well, the first thing they should step back and look at their company from the outside in, which, like we just talked about, it's really hard
Yeah.
for especially a business owner to do that. Really hard, if not impossible, but they have to, and they have to do it objectively, and they cannot move forward saying, "I know what my customers need to hear. I know what I need to say." That, with all due respect to every business owner out there, because I love business, you can't do that, because what you think differentiates you is not what your customers think, and that difference can be very, very tiny. Just it can be just a slight wording differentiation, but that makes all the difference in the world. So they can't assume they know.
Yeah, and I think that one of the challenges there is like as an entrepreneur, I can speak like so many times our identity is tied up in the business that it's just really hard to separate the two. I think
It
that's one
is.
of the reason people like me struggle to retire. Right?
Yes, so true. Yeah,
Yeah.
so true.
Yeah. So this has been super fascinating, John. Where can folks learn more about you, learn more about Challenger brand marketing?
Sure. The website is commitagency.com. That's COMMITT agency.com, IT, excuse me, .com. And they can email me if they like it, jgumas, that's JGUMAS at commitagency.com, and mention your name. I'll happily answer any questions they have, and see if I can give them a little insight that might help their business.
I love it. I love it. John, this has been really fun. I can't wait diving into this myself, and I appreciate you being willing to share some insights in this. We'll have to do it again sometime, okay?
It's my pleasure, Kirby. Thanks so much.
All right. Well, that's going to wrap up this edition of Delivering Marketing Joy. We'll see you next time.